Okay, and here's a prime example as to why I don't date LA guys and why European men are 200 times better than American men.
What the fuck that got to do with me?
Hey, welcome back, Motivation Nation. This your host, Boom. Let's get right into it. She said, American men suck. Let's get into this.
Okay, and here's a prime example as to why I don't date LA guys and why European men are 200 times better than American men. Let me just paint the scene for you. I just got back from a 3-week Europe trip and I met a couple guys there. One guy literally drove 5 hours to bring me tiramisu.
Yeah, right.
5 hours to bring me tiramisu, and we had never even met before. We had just been talking online. That's one example. I get home, I get back on Hinge. I live in LA, and as you know, dating in LA is one of the worst places in the world. There's a few reasons for it. One, because it's the entertainment capital of the world. People don't move to LA to settle down and have kids. They move here to grow their career or become somebody and yada yada. And it is a hustle and a grind. And most guys cannot multitask. If their life is not in order, they're not ready for a relationship. And on top of that, there are way more beautiful women in this city that they don't have to commit. It's called Peter Pan syndrome. These guys want to stay young. They want to get whatever they want because they can and without having to commit. Okay? So I have been living in LA for a really long time. I've been single. I just don't really connect with the men here. Not to say that all men are bad here, but just the ones that I've.
Hold on a second. It sounds to me like the women don't want to commit either. If they're able to get what they want without the commitment, that means that goes both ways. The women don't want the commitment either. And if you think I believe for a second the guy that you never met drove 5 hours to give you some tiramisu, you're absolutely insane. And if they did all that, then why ain't he flying over? Why ain't y'all start dating and he flying over to meet with you and be with you and get to know you? Huh? It just doesn't make any sense to me. If that story is even true, maybe he was already coming that way. But don't you think that would be weird anyway? But anyway, let me let her go on. That's too much for me. But anyway.
Gone on dates with, it just wasn't a partnership type of vibe. And I get back on Hinge and I connect with a guy today. He literally was like, "You seem like you're such a catch right off the bat. Why are you single?" And I made a joke back being like, haha, your guess is as good as mine about like me being single or whatever. And then he immediately goes, "Okay, big head." And I was like, "Okay, soon." That's quick. And so I made a joke back being like, "Physically or mentally?" And then he was like, "Oh, I want to meet you." And I was like, "Okay, well, we can make that happen." He was like, "Where do you live?" And I was like, "WeHo." And then he was like, "Well, let's talk on Instagram because conversations can get dry on here." And I don't love giving a guy my Instagram right off the bat. I don't want to see your Instagram. I don't want you to see my Instagram. I think it's a really good way to like not have preconceived notions about someone and to just like get to know someone by talking to them. And so I was like, oh, I was like, Instagram.
Okay, let me stop. Maybe y'all gotta correct me. Look, I need help with this, okay? Because maybe it's me. Maybe I don't understand what's going on. Maybe I'm in the wrong timeline, or maybe I'm too old. So I need you guys, the viewers, to help me with this because this is where I'm lost. You're talking to the guy on Hinge. He says, let's talk now on Instagram. Why are you guys not talking on the phone? Is that the way that this works with the dating apps now? You talk to people through like text messaging. If you match with someone, I would assume that, hey, one or two messages, let me get your number. I need to talk to you over the telephone. I don't want to jump from app to app, messenger to messenger to have a conversation with a human being. maybe that's old fashioned, maybe that's old school, but I want to talk to you. I want to hear your voice. I want to ask you questions. I don't want to be texting you back and forth and waiting on you to respond whenever you get around to it. I want to talk to you. I want to get to know you because I'm trying to see if this is something that is worth pursuing. Maybe I'm wrong. Y'all let me know because jumping this app to app crap, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't understand why people don't talk to each other anymore. But anyway, let me let her continue. And this is the basis for why these interactions don't go well because you don't even know who you're talking to.
And he was like, well, you're only giving me one word answers. And I was like, first of all, we just started talking 5 seconds ago, Miss Attitude. So relax. And I was like, I don't really love messaging on this app. He's like, well, I don't see you sending me a voice note. He's like, I don't see you initiating a conversation. I was like, okay, what is wrong with you, actually? I'm like, do you hate women? What are you so disgruntled about? Why are you so insecure? Like, we literally just started this conversation. You asked me a question and I was answering. And it's like, this is my problem with LA guys, is that they want you to give them the princess treatment. They want you to be like, oh, okay, so tell me about your life, and let me take you to lunch, and let me buy you a drink, and let me do all of the work, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you asked me 2 questions and I answered them. That is not me not continuing a conversation. It's been 5 seconds. I understand if it had been 5 days and I was giving you one word response, it's been 5 seconds. Relax. So then earlier I had sent my Instagram handle after I was just kind of like, ugh, Instagram. So immediately he was like, after he said, oh, you could initiate conversation. And then he goes, oh, you have too many followers for me. And I was like, and you have too much of an attitude for me. He was like, why? Because I told you you need to initiate conversation. And I immediately unmatched. And I'm just like, if you're coming with that type of energy right off the bat and you think that that's attractive, first of all, you're coming at me sideways for answering your questions. And then second, you're coming at me because I have too many followers. Get a life. Get a life. And the problem is that this is the majority of LA guys here. They are women. They are women. They are girls. They want this princess treatment. And when you are someone who has lived and traveled all around the world, gives yourselves the nicest things, really has a great life, and can do all of the things that a man can do, but you do it for yourself, why would I ever settle for anything less?
Well, everything that you just described, that you're traveling all over and doing all this, but yet you're still single. So what good is any of all of that and you're still longing to have someone, which is a natural thing. I'm gonna let her finish and then I'm gonna give my closing remarks. But all of this extra stuff that people like, oh, I can do, I'm doing this, I'm traveling, yeah, but you're single and you're online frustrated because you can't find a man. That's where you are. That's the reality of what it is. So all that extra stuff, that's irrelevant. You're trying to find a man right now. But anyway, let me let her finish and then we'll give our closing remarks.
Why are you single? This is why. This is why. Because men do not know how to show up as men anymore, especially in Los Angeles. So I gotta outsource. There's a supply and demand issue. I gotta outsource. I gotta go to Europe. I have to physically go to Europe to find a man. Dating in 2026.
Hey, ma'am, you were just in Europe and you still didn't find a man. Even the guy that came 5 hours and dropped off the tiramisu, you guys aren't dating. So obviously that's not working either. I mean, all that sounds good, but that's not the reality. You still don't have a man. And you just were there for 3 weeks and you don't have a man. So, I mean, I don't know. But the bigger issue that I see here, irregardless to everything else that she said, the bigger issue that I'm seeing, and especially people in this age group, because this is not an 18 or a 19-year-old, is the lack of communication. And maybe, him calling her big head, she didn't appreciate that. I mean, I feel like that was, a joke, him trying to break the ice. Maybe he doesn't necessarily know how to break the ice, but that's what I'm talking about text messages and chats and all of that. Sometimes when you type things out in your head, it comes across as one way. And then when you put it on paper or you put it on a text, it comes out a different way. And it's up to that person's interpretation. And you're not able to clarify what it is that you're trying to say, because a lot of times when you're delivering jokes, a joke is funny just based on the way a person says it. So if he had said it to her, it may have made her laugh and been an icebreaker. But when you're texting back and forth to a complete stranger, I don't know what the expectation is. And that's why I'm telling you guys, I need clarification on these dating apps, because I completely don't understand it. I would think that when you match with someone, the first thing that I would try to do is get your phone number and set up a time to talk to you based upon the match. That's just me, but I don't know. I've never been on a dating app. I don't know how any of that works. But it seems to me that that's where the initial conversation should start, because I see far too many videos of people who going back and forth on these chats inside of these dating apps, and it never goes correctly. It always ends in a story time, because and to me it makes perfect sense, because it's two people who only matching based on physical appearance, based on photos, in which I've done a video with somebody faked them out on the photo, and so it's like you're only going on what you see physically, which is fine because that's the only way that you can possibly match on an app. But after you match with that person physically, you find them attractive, they find you attractive. Now you guys can exchange information. But I would think the most logical thing to do would be get someone's telephone number and talk to them. But I believe that's the issue now with social media. Everybody wants to be so disengaged. And that's a problem with the relationships now. People are not engaged. There was a time in society before social media where you actually had to step to a person in real life and talk to them and ask them for their phone number and keep a conversation going. You had to engage with people. You didn't have the luxury of hiding behind your phone or an app and a text message. That gives people fake courage. You actually have to have the courage to walk up to the young lady that you thought was attractive with with the possibility of her rejecting you in your face, telling you, no, I'm not interested. No, you're not my type. No, you're not attractive to me. In your face, she's going to tell you this. And you have to accept that and say, hey, ma'am, I appreciate it, and move on. But you couldn't hide behind a text message or an app. This is things that you had to do. So you got an opportunity to speak to that person right then and there, get to know them. They got to know you. And then you guys made a decision on if this is something that you guys wanted to carry further by giving out the phone number. And in those certain cases where you just see somebody that you're attracted to, you got to walk up to her, whisper in her ear, make her laugh, do something, say something. She give you the number, and hey, I'm gonna get with you later. This is before cell phones. This is when you went in, when you were walking around with a pencil and a pad, and you wrote people's numbers down, and you had to memorize numbers. People's names didn't pop up across the screen. But maybe I'm going back too far. But what I'm saying is, those interactions were a lot more genuine, and it was a lot easier because you were actually having communication with people. So my advice is, even if you're meeting people on these apps, you have to talk to people. I just don't understand how you get to know somebody through text messaging. That's just me. And I hear what you're talking about going overseas, but if you continue meeting people the same way that you're meeting people, then this is going to be the same result no matter where you are in the world, because you've been to Europe, and guess what? You came back single after the 5-hour tiramisu trip. But anyway, look, man, the video's been long enough, but I want you guys to let me know what you think about what it is that she's talking about. And what she's talking about is a microcosm of the bigger problem that I see on the dating scene in this generation. It's not enough genuine, not enough in person, not enough connections, too much disassociation because of social media and apps and text messaging, where people don't actually, they can hide behind the digitization of the dating scene. But that's just my 2 cents. I want to know what you guys think about it. And like I said, I'm not going to make the video go any longer because I know your attention ain't that long. A lot of y'all didn't even make it this far. But for those of you that did, I do appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, hit that share button. You tell a friend, and hit that hype button if you see fit. Once again, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. That's it for this video. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out.